So just as a quick review, the PPP, the CARES Act, birthed the PPP program. It's a 1% interest rate, which I think everybody recognizes that as a tremendous benefit to the program. The original terms were 2 years, deferred 6 weeks. Your covered period, that's another code word for the time that you can use the money, was 8 weeks. And then you had to have a 75-25 split for payroll and non-payroll. If you were paying attention to the news and such, then there came along the Flexibility Act that basically moved the term to a 5-year term. The deferral period was 10 months, and then then it went to 24 weeks. If you were in the first act, you could pick either 8 or 24, and they reduced it to help small businesses down to a 60-40 split. The final act that we're talking about, and I'm going to get into some changes here in just a minute, that was signed into law December 27th, kept the 1%. You still have 5 years, but and the 10 months. So you do have the 10-month deferral, but now you can pick anywhere along the continuum, 8 to 24 weeks, anywhere along that continuum for your covered period. The split still has to be 60-40. So again, that's just a quick review of where we are and where we've come from. The first thing you need to know, and again, I just want to hit a couple of the main changes here. $15 billion in the last legislation was set aside for low to moderate income folks, and we have a number of lenders that are in that community, and $15 billion, and they're doing that now. Those loans are being done now, and we'll talk about the different kinds of loans, but that's going on as we speak. We're calling this PPP3 just amongst ourselves, but there were a couple of other tranches, if you will recall. But the initial focus is to get the money to the low to moderate income folks and the minority-owned businesses, disadvantaged folks, women-owned, veteran-owned. And here are a few targeted specific business segments that it really wanted to hone in on to. So you're going to hear some verbiage when you talk to your banker. There's going to be, in the legislation, there was something called first draw eligibility. And there's going to be obviously a second draw here we're going to talk about. But the main thing I want you to know is the terminology. If you did not participate in PPP, and you were in business and the other eligibility criteria, 500 employees, if you missed out on that first tranche, if you will, you're going to be able to get back in the game here. If you did not receive a PPP prior to August the 8th, you can talk to your lender and get that going now immediately when the lenders come online, obviously. And I put the application number here for you because that is a little bit different application. So the SBA application 2483. Again, if you have not participated in PPP before, this is for you. If you did receive monies in the first draw, if you will, prior funding, we're calling it the second draw eligibility, another bite at the apple. That application I have listed here, and it's the 2483 SD for, guess what, second draw. So there are different rules for this part of the programming. Revenues must be down 25%. And the beauty of that is you get to pick which quarter. If you want to pick quarter 2 in 2020, compare that to quarter 2 in 2019. If that gives you the math to do that, to be able to qualify, then that helps you, and that helps you with your eligibility. No more than 300 employees. That's a little bit different. Here's one caveat: you must use the money from the first loan that you received before you get disbursement. So obviously you can go ahead and apply, but you must attest that you have used the money, show documentation that you've used that first money before you get the second bite at the apple, so to speak. Same types of businesses that qualified for the PPP, other than the number of employees and that kind of thing. So again, the Feb 15 date, you must have been in business. There is a $2 million limit, and there's $2.5 the same math applies, basically the 2.5 times your monthly payroll. So in certain NAICS codes, and if you're in business, you know what your NAICS code is, but this beginning in 72 is the hospitality and restaurant industry. And I don't think anybody on the planet would argue that they have not been hit really, really bad. So the new legislation gives them 3.5 times. Okay. Again, in the spirit of trying to expand eligibility and get more money to help protect payrolls, that was what the mission of the program was. Is they have really defined what a seasonal employer now is, and that is way more beneficial to our borrowers and to the small business owners. I'll not get into the details of that, but basically it's more user friendly. There's more allowable expenses, and you should benefit from that. The other thing to know about the changes in the law is now our 501c6 partners and friends are available to get the money. Now, who is that? That's typically the chambers of commerce that you know about, but there's some stipulations involved. If you not necessarily the chambers of commerce, they do economic development work, but if you're a lobbying company, you can't have more than 15% of your revenue from lobbying efforts, I should say. Now it's opened up to housing cooperatives, news media with some stipulations attached, hospitals and destination marketing. And the question is, well, what in the world is that? If you're in rural Georgia and you have a visitors bureau, then that's what a destination marketing company looks like. So the beauty of this is they've made it more user friendly. When you go to ask for forgiveness, they've opened up eligible expenses. The one I like to say is we had a barbecue restaurant who did not have a drive-through window in his operation. Well, based on COVID, he pivoted and spent his money to open up drive-throughs in his 3 or 4 locations. Well, that money is now eligible to be reimbursed in the new programming. So, and then another thing that's broadened is for example, the group insurance and things like that. So, there's more allowable expenses. So, pay attention to that. Another thing is there's going to be a way for those people that did not get, there was some confusion early on about owner's draws, partnership reimbursement and things of that nature. So there's a way to do that now. Here's another key thing I need you to take away and not forget. This program will expire March 31st. Now, my guess is that will be kicked, or tweaked to give us a little more time. But as the law reads now, it's March 31st. So time is of the essence, and you want to start talking to your lenders, or what you should be doing now is getting prepared, obviously, with your documentation. I'm not real sure, Treasury or if we had conversations with the IRS, but early on, these expenses that you counted toward our PPP funding were not going to be deductible. And so that's been fixed. I think the intent was, well, you're double dipping. You can't have forgiveness and free money, and then also deduct that on your income taxes. Well, that has been repaired, which is a good thing. Also, something in the acts from early on, debt relief payments, or Section 1112s, as we call those, where SBA was actually making monthly payments on our regular 7A and 504 loans. And I'll tell you that there's more of new legislation that we're not going to be able to touch on here. But so there's more funding available for these payments that SBA will make for new originated SBA lending. But there were some complications early on. IRS was going to treat that perhaps as income. That has now been dealt with, and that will not happen. So the language actually is retroactive back to where it goes all the way back to the original CARES Act. So that's a good thing. $15 billion in SBA grants for shuttered venues. You've probably heard in the media, Save Our Stages, those kind of things. No question that live venues, performing art organizations, museums, and the like were heavily impacted with the shelter in place. So there's money available for that. But that's a big industry that was taken care of in the latest legislation.